The Lime-Flavored Network, the tastiest netcasts online. Limelight on Apple is brought to you by Tricia's Bakery at triciasbakery.com.
Welcome to Limelight on Apple, Episode 5, being broadcast and recorded live on the 18th of March, 2012. I am DJ Allen, and I am joined by...
Your wife.
Who is once again downstairs. We are again attempting to do something a little bit different than normal. So I'm going to have a non-custom lower third, well, kind of custom, and she's not going to have a lower third for those watching the video.
Yeah, the difference this time is instead of dragging my laptop downstairs to do the broadcast, I got this bright idea today. I have a Google Nexus 7 tablet, and I thought that maybe that would work with the Google Hangout to broadcast since our Apple products don't work. So I'm shooting a show about Apple products from a Nexus 7 tablet.
Yes. Yes, you are. And now, your video isn't the highest quality, but I'm not complaining about that too much.
Well, do you think that's because I'm far away from the Wi-Fi signal?
Well, last time we did it with you far away from the Wi-Fi signal, you would start out a little fuzzy and then you would come into focus, like I probably do to you. And this time you're just staying the same quality the whole time.
Oh, that's not good.
Well, we didn't know this would happen either. I figured maybe if you stop moving around so much, it would kind of get better, but it's not. So
chasing a guinea pig does require moving.
Yeah, it does.
Did it work better when we were upstairs and tried it out?
I don't think so. I think it was the same quality there too.
Oh.
Somebody's purring.
Did you hear the pig?
Yeah. All right, we're already 9 minutes into the show or something, and I don't know, we're not 9 minutes into the show. We're already a few minutes into the show, and we're completely off track.
Well, guinea pigs need talking about, too. Guinea pigs need their own show. We should have Limelight on guinea pigs.
Limelight on guinea pigs. How about This Week in Guinea Pigs?
Oh, that would be even better.
Twig.
I could show all the pictures and video that I take of bonsai throughout the week on that show.
And it would be too long to edit. Well, let's start out with something that actually happened today. iOS 6.1.3, I believe, came out today. I think that's the one that got released.
Yes, 6.1.3.
Okay. And I checked, and it says that various bugs and fixes were implemented.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, I should check. I don't know. Would it be on my iPhone 5 as well?
Well, should be. Here is the story that I found on this update concentrates on the phone being there's still being an issue with the lock screen bypass.
Yep, it says fixes a bug that could allow someone to bypass the passcode and access the phone app. And also it includes improvements to the maps in Japan.
Yes, so when next time we go to Japan, we will have correct Apple Maps.
Much better than last time.
Yes. Well, it'll be much better than the last time I was in Japan, considering I didn't have a cell phone when I was in Japan last.
It's because they kind of didn't exist on a huge scale at that point.
They were still pretty chunky back then. That's the end of that conversation.
Yeah, what I saw in this story is it says that people could bypass the lock screen by using a paper clip to pop out the SIM card at a specific point.
Okay. And me having a 4S, I don't have to worry about SIM cards yet. So I guess that doesn't affect me. I guess the thing about the lock screen, here's what concerns me. My phone never leaves my person except when I'm in the shower, and then it is still within 1 step's worth of reach. So my problem is, who's leaving their phone just lay around? Who's keeping sensitive information on their phone in such a situation that would... It boggles my mind why this is a concern. I have the slide to unlock because it's always in my possession.
Just a quick thing. Maybe we don't have SIM cards or something for where we are, being on Verizon. But it says in the article here that ZDNet headquarters was able to reproduce the bug on an iPhone 4. And they say it also affects iPhone 4S and iPhone 5 users with Siri disabled. So
Okay.
I think I don't know a lot about the SIM cards either. Like I said, I think that they're harder to get into on an iPhone 4 and 4S, whereas on the 5 there is a door right on the side of my phone, which I believe is where a SIM card would be.
So, seeing that then, let me drag
That's my expert opinion.
let's see here. I guess this is potentially where my SIM card would go.
Yeah, it's on the side opposite of my volume control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it a small hole that looks about the size of a paper clip?
Yeah, roughly.
Well then, I guess mystery solved.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, it looks like the little spot by this door is just a little tiny hole too, and then there's a door.
Yeah, I guess I've never had a reason to even bother looking at that because, well, I don't go overseas without you. I don't need to use my phone overseas because I don't go overseas. And,
You're not trying to hack into your phone?
right, because it's my phone and it's always in my possession. That is not a challenge to hackers and thieves. Besides, there's nothing on my phone that you would even give a rat's ass about, so it's pretty much safe because you basically just get a phone at that point. I would be sad.
Yeah, me too. Because then you'd want an iPhone 5.
I
And
already
then-
do.
And then you'd complain when you had to get an iPhone 5 and then an iPhone 5S came out a couple months later.
That is true. I would complain.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, for those who are viewing the video, how do you like me rocking the bright orange sweatshirt?
To me it looks really red, but I know that it's a bright orange.
Yes.
Maybe
yes.
the green light is throwing it off a little bit.
Now, some people call this hunter orange. I call it international orange because that's the way I've always known it. And I know you hate Navy stories, but I'm going to tell a quick one.
Yeah, whatever.
We never had a field exercise in Puerto Rico, and I was in charge of the warehouse with all the supplies in it, and I was always asked by the brand new guys why we didn't have a field exercise, and I said, because all of our equipment here is international orange instead of camouflage. So they were all like, really? Well, how's that any good to us in a wartime situation? I just let them ponder that and figure it out for themselves. It was fun.
It
All
can
right.
also be It could also be Chevy orange, because that's where my background would take me to relate a story to a bright orange object. But it's way too deep red to be the color of a Chevy small block. So.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look, and I'm going to go with the next story about, since we were talking about it, Canaccord. This is on the financialpost.com. Canaccord, in fact, let me bring this up and I'll screen share. Canaccord reports that the iPhone 5S, which was expected to be out in June or July, should now be out in August. I'm not sharing my screen with anybody, apparently. Holy buckets.
August or September.
It should be August or September, and the price for said iPhone has dropped from $650, which I'm assuming is for the cheapest, the smallest model, the 16 gigabyte, to a mere $600, so drops by $50.
I thought I paid even more than that for my iPhone 5, although I guess I do have the 32 gig.
Do I have a 32 gig 4S?
I believe that you do. I think I had a 16 gig iPhone 4, and you got the larger 32 gig, and then I also got the 32 gig iPhone 5, and you've already stated numerous times that you expect the 64 gig when you get your new iPhone.
Because I am doing a network with lots of shows that require lots of videos, and I'm going to need lots of space, because I will have my primary camera, the iPhone 5S, in the field that will need to take lots of video, because I plan on doing all kinds of neat stuff, like stuff I can't reveal here. That would be revelationatory. That was a terrible word I just made up.
I'd like to point out, though, that if you have a new iPhone and you have an old iPhone, you know how you now have two separate recording devices with two separate sets of memory.
That is true, but you know how much space I take up with music and or other video.
No, I don't, because I don't know if you've ever shown me.
News at 11. I'll be updating Tricia tonight. Okay, so this week we are not Apple exclusive with our stories. Why don't you pick something out of the docket there, Tricia, and give us the 411 and the lowdown, and I'll sit here quietly and pay attention.
Okay, well, the Samsung Galaxy S4 had a release event. This wasn't too recent, though. I think it was what, at least a week ago?
I'd say at least a week ago.
Maybe my article will tell me here. Or maybe not, because it could be just as informative as the release itself.
Oh, do tell us. Give us some highlights of the release.
I decided to watch the release event today because of the news shows that I watch talking about how odd it was, and that word was used, odd. It starts out with this little kid named Jeremy, and I guess he must have been in a lot of their advertisements or hype leading up to this event. I'm not sure. We're cord cutters.
Yes.
Okay, we're cord cutters, so we don't see a lot of TV commercials.
It's true.
So anyways, you'll get to hear the pig drink water still.
Yeah, he's a mainstay on the lime-flavored network.
Yep, he is. So anyways, he's got a box that he needs to guard, which supposedly has the phones in it. And you see him with this box at home, and you know, he's sleeping with it beside him, and he's brushing his teeth, and it's on the kitchen counter, and then this limo or something, fancy car of some type, comes to pick him up and chauffeur him to the event, and then he goes in with the box. Now, I wish I would have gotten the names and things together right now. I printed the article so that I could highlight what I wanted to talk about, and a big white strip came out in the center of it, so my documents were kind of lost. But anyways, the event was at Radio City Music Hall in New York, and they...
Keep going.
They also showed that there was some sort of additional viewing of the release outside, because there were all kinds of people in lawn chairs bundled up because it must have been really cold out.
So outside of the Rockettes, Radio City Music Hall?
Music Hall. I don't know if they were just right outside of that, or if they were just outside somewhere in New York in the general vicinity. I'm not positive.
Okay.
Okay, so I wanted to see if I could find something in this article, but he actually talks about the phone, so he must have found some specs somewhere to talk about. The person I'm referring to is Andy Anatko. I was watching Mac Break Weekly today at work, and they were talking about the release event, and he was actually there, and he summed it up kind of exactly like I felt. Basically, they had their main MC guy, which he did a pretty decent job. Started things off, got the kid off the stage. They had a full orchestra there. Didn't make a lot of sense.
Okay.
You could see them right in front of the screen, or not, well, screen. Yeah, you could see them right in front of the stage. So there's just so many things going on in that announcement. Anyway, so they get off the stage, and like the Samsung president, I believe, comes out. I had a very hard time understanding him speak. He had a very, very thick accent, and English was definitely not a first or second language even to this guy, I would say. I don't know. He was very tough to understand.
That was a criticism too.
What?
That was a criticism of him, is he should have come out and made his little quick announcement and then gotten the hell out of the way, because if you're talking to a primarily English-speaking audience, which we were the target audience, you should not have someone whose fourth or fifth language is English. I mean, he was hard to understand. He should have done his bit and got out of there, but instead it's like he wanted to be Steve Jobs. It didn't work.
Yeah, he definitely was out there way too long talking about the phone. Then they brought out another guy who must have been some sort of important person in the development of the company. He was kind of robotic, and he just threw out numbers. Like, I swear he just had a spec sheet, and he just read it. And it was tough. I mean, because at one point, I'll bring up the specs here so that I can give an example. Maybe.
Sure you will.
Yeah, trying. Okay, so at some point when he starts... No, it doesn't go into his... My spec sheet does not go into as much detail as this guy did. How sad is that? When he talked about it being Wi-Fi compatible, for example, he described, he included every band of Wi-Fi it was, it worked with.
Okay.
So, like, every letter that it worked with.
Oh, yeah.
And he would just say numbers. He wouldn't explain anything. I know at one point the MC guy even asked him to explain something because he didn't think he was the only guy that didn't know exactly what the spec man was talking about.
And he wouldn't have been.
So that guy comes out and reads all his stuff, and then they get into the play.
The play.
The play. The rest of the presentation was some sort of multiple act, multiple scene Broadway production with a phone involved in it. It was so confusing. The one thing that was very obvious is that we were not going to see the phone function. When the actors were using, in air quotes,
Mm-hmm.
phone, if you saw the screen of it pointing towards them, it was black. There wasn't any screen sharing going on, so if they were using the phone in one of their plays, you didn't see what they saw. You saw screenshots on the large screen behind them. That kid comes out again. They've got some guy pretending like he's the dad and some lady out there pretending she is the mom of this Jeremy kid. And then he starts tap dancing because their whole point of this was that the father before this, with the girl that was dancing like a ballerina across the stage, didn't have the Galaxy S4 camera to record her dancing at whatever school recital she was part of, so she was angry at him. So they wanted to show us how it's done with a fake dummy camera and two actors and the kid tap dancing for a very long time. You have something to say?
No, I know some of this because of the way Andy Anatko had, because of the shows that we watched, he kind of relayed some of this to us. I also heard a little bit of it on Twit, which is another show off the same network that Anatko would be on. But he made it sound like, okay, we're going to start out with this information about a phone and then kind of include the phone in these skits, maybe.
I appreciate the fact that they were trying to show us how to use the phone or how it could be used in real life situations. But I think it would have been a lot better had they actually shown the phone functioning. The other interesting, there's a lot more to talk about, I guess, regarding the whole thing. They had different scenes, and they always talk to the audience. I believe they called it breaking the fourth wall.
That's
what it is?
The correct term, yes.
Okay, so that's what they said. And, so while this Jeremy kid is tap dancing and the mom and dad are recording him, they'd say something to the audience like, and if this was really his kid or his dad instead of a paid actor, and then they'd relay some sort of information to us. And that happened constantly. There were some interesting features about the phone, like I said, that they would show us. One of them is a guy was in Japan in a bus station or train station, and he needed. I'm petting him. My pig loves me.
Yes.
So he needs to know how to get to a specific train or bus. I don't remember what kind of station it was. And so he asks this guy standing there reading a paper for directions, and the guy obviously doesn't speak English. So they showed this translating feature where he spoke to he spoke to his phone in English. It translated it into the foreign language. The guy read it and spoke his directions back. The phone translated the directions into text in English, and he knew where to go. So then when he takes off to go, to whatever he's catching to leave, the other actor there that was speaking the foreign language says in English, now that he's gone, I'm going to my dressing room, and walks off stage.
The fear, well, what some people don't understand is that translators do more than just make sure you know which words are literally being translated. Translators also decipher things. So when a human being is being a translator, they take my sentence of "this is Limelight on Apple" and they can translate it into Japanese in a way that would make sense to Japanese. And what worries me about most of these programs is that it's going to go too literal with, I need directions to the bathroom. Okay, well, maybe it says bathroom directions need. I mean, sure, that's great instructions. I mean, if the guy understands, okay, this program is severely limited, and this other guy typing is an idiot. So, I mean, and unless it's truly translating great, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, yeah, that event sounded like a complete catastrophe.
Well, the way they showed the translation was that it did come through perfectly to each of them, of course, in their correct context and form. But yeah, the event in general was just crazy. It showed a lot of interesting features about the phone. The most informative part, and this is where I agreed with Andy Anatko, the most informative part was at the end when they were completely done and they were letting all of the press people there go look at the demo models. Up on screen, they put the specs. They put the numbers up. And that was the first time that I found out that the phone was actually running Jelly Bean. Otherwise, that was never indicated throughout the entire presentation that the phone was even running the most recent operating system.
Well, there's speculation. There's speculation that there might even be an updated operating system to it too. I mean, like the Android 5, whatever the key lime pie.
I don't know if key lime pie is being called like 5.0 or if it's a 4 point something. I'm not sure, but sure, that's possible that it could be key lime pie. I have no idea. I watched the presentation. Why would I know?
Yeah.
Yeah. They showed a lot of interesting features, but unfortunately, like all Android phones, it just seems like there are too many features that phone has on it that is only specific to that phone and other people who own that specific model. So if you want to do this song thing where you can be playing a song, and if your friend is near you, you can somehow share the phone, like with that near field communication, I suppose, because they kind of showed them bumping their phones together. You could share that song with them, and then it could be playing off 2 phones. I think you could go up to 5 phones because, or maybe, yeah, 5 probably, because they were talking about doing like 5.1 surround sound where each phone could be a different channel of the same audio. So, okay, that's neat if everyone you know owns the exact same phone. Whereas with Apple, I own the iPhone 5, you own the iPhone 4S, we can FaceTime.
And let's let's go with the perfect world here. Okay, let's say that you have the Galaxy S4 and I also have the Galaxy S4, and let's just throw in someone we know. Let's say Morgan also has a Galaxy S4. Let's also pretend that we're all in the same room and I start jamming out to my music. There is no way that you want to listen to my music, and there's no way that Morgan wants to listen to my music. And in this example, while I don't mind your music, there's a lot of it that I don't like. So I don't want to listen to your music, and Morgan wouldn't want to listen to your music, and Morgan's got her own musical taste. So sure, we have the same phones in this hypothetically magical fictional example, but none of us listens to the same music.
Okay. Their example was a bachelorette party where one of them is like, hey, remember this song from when we were kids? And then they all started playing it and dancing together, like in line dance sort of formation. Okay,
well, I mean, in a situation like that, perhaps. I guess I didn't know the context of the skit, but in like those Samsung Let's Slam Apple people waiting in line commercials.
Our parents.
Yeah. The two
waiting in line are our parents.
Yes. So the two people slap their phones together and they go, "What did you just do?" And I just shared a playlist with him. Again, how many people have the exact same musical tastes? If I'm not going to share my playlist with you, and you are not going to share your playlist with me.
But I would imagine that you can also share pictures and video in that form. That's just a guess. But that would at least make something like that a little bit more useful. You know, like, hey, I just took a picture. Will you, and you asked me to send it to you. So rather than sending a text or, an iMessage, we just bump our phones, which can technically we can get around that with an app called Bump. And then with that app called Bump, I can bump another iPhone or another Android phone, and I could share information with them. I think that there's so many things that are specific to only certain Android phones. It seems like it would make so much more sense to roll these things out as software updates, I guess, versus constant hardware updates. Like, for example, I no longer have my iPhone 4 on contract. I just have it at work to use with Square. And when this new update, this, 5.2.3? whatever the iOS, no, 6, the iOS update that just came out.
6.1.3.
Okay, yes, I totally had my numbers wrong. So when that update comes out, it also comes out for my old phone. I can update that. When the new operating systems come out for Android, I can't update my old Samsung phone.
Yeah.
And not that happens to a lot of Android users. A lot of those phones can't be upgraded to the new operating systems. I know that shortly after I got rid of my phone and they did update the operating system, I talked to Verizon about updating it because I couldn't get it to go over Wi-Fi. They told me that I'd actually have to take my iPhone off my plan or deactivate it, reactivate my Samsung phone as my primary Verizon phone, get all the updates, and then have them switch it back to iPhone being my primary.
Yeah.
So that phone hasn't had software updates in a long time for the operating system, and yet my iPhone 4 does.
Okay. Well, to not talk about this one, I mean, the thing that sparked us too long. What's the other Samsung tidbit that you have in your little docket there? While I say that some of the speculation by the Ihnatcos and the Laportes that we listen to is that Samsung is trying to be its own ecosystem. So not only are they trying to distinguish themselves against Apple, they're actually trying to distinguish themselves outside of Android, technically. So I think that Samsung might own Android in the future, or at least a large chunk of it.
The articles that I had were both about one was about the event and one was the specs on the phone. Okay.
Well, then let's move off and go back to something Apple. And you should probably work on your app pick because you're going to have to present first because I realized we didn't choose apps before we started recording.
So that means I have to choose first?
Yeah, you have to choose first because while you're looking, I'm describing the story that I'm going to screen share that you'll be able to, I'll be able to choose mine while you're working. So I'm going to center myself up here. What I found, I've got a screen share here, was, hopefully you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay, it's, why is this not scrolling? Awesome. Well, if you can see the bottom, it says Apple patent teases augmented reality mixed with social networking. There we go. What this is, what they're saying is that Apple is patenting a way to synchronize interactive augmented reality displays for functioning devices, which basically means that, well, let me explain what augmented reality is, because I know that you don't know. Augmented reality, or at least alternate reality gaming online, has been fairly popular, which relates more to finding a hidden website somewhere that gives you clues to get to another website and kind of leads you on a chase. What the augmented version of this would mean, I believe, would be to, if you're walking around as in the picture here, if you're walking around a monument, that you would be able to modify your screen to get a different look at what you're looking at, to be able to share it in a unique way. So I'm guessing in this case it would be a lot to do with larger cities, since we don't have the 3D maps in our area yet. Basically to enrich what you're doing in the world around you. And I'm hoping along with this that they're also, and I'm going to jump off this here, that they're also working on sharing, hi pig, that they're sharing the, that you can share these with your Facebook and Twitter friends, but also, let's say you're walking by an old building, that it'll tell you, things about that old building that you may be interested in. And I don't know if that's part of the process or not. I thought it was worth mentioning because I liked the concept of alternate reality games, and I'm hoping that that's somewhat integrated with this augmented reality, which is slightly different, but I believe it might have something to do with it.
I'm ready.
Okay, so we're gonna go off of that because that's all real. That's all I know is they filed the patent for it. So what we're gonna do now is hit our apps of the week, and we're gonna start with Tricia because, like I said, I'm not ready yet. So go, Tricia.
Okay, me and Bonsai, we have chosen the Fitbit app this week, which this is going to be tough to do, but I'll see if I can do it.
Here we go.
You can see Fitbit.
Yes.
All right. Fitbit is, well, it's an app and it's actually a little device. It's like a pedometer, but it's way smarter. This will show how many steps I take per day. It also shows how many flights of steps I've climbed each day. It shows how many miles I have walked. It shows how many calories I've burned. And then it's got this sort of little progress flower where the more active you are, the bigger the flower grows. Oh, and then it's got this great thing where it tells you what time it is. That's pretty handy too, I think.
I think that's called a clock.
Oh, a clock. That's right. So it's this little device that fits into this clip here, and I clip it to my belt all day. You can also just throw it in your pocket. The device itself comes out because it's actually smaller. It's just this little tiny thing here, and it also comes with a wristband that you can put it in because it tracks your sleep. So now I have proof of how poorly I sleep at night, which is just great. It also has a silent alarm feature on it where the Fitbit will vibrate whenever you set the alarm for to wake you up, so that if you're in the room with somebody else, you don't wake them up. Mine didn't go off this morning, so it's a good thing that I set my phone as well. I usually set my phone for a couple minutes later. I've only had this for a week, maybe 6 days. Not even a week.
That's about a week.
Okay, so it syncs with my phone via Bluetooth. And on my phone, it gives me a more detailed listing of how many steps I've walked again, the floors I've climbed, the calories I've burned. It tracks your weight. You can basically input your weight on it. And then the website gives more information, but on here it'll tell you how well you slept, like when you went to bed, when you got up. It'll even show you on a graph when you were awake, when you were sleeping. I think my sleep quality was like 67% last night, if at all, considering I was in bed for, I was in bed for like 9 hours, only slept for 5.5, and was awake 15 times.
Can't wait to get mine.
Yeah, so of course, in true fashion, I got something, so you want it too. And I mean, it is very useful. I would highly recommend it. Even if you want to, even if you're not looking to be more active, I found it really interesting to even be able to track how much I walk on a daily basis just in life in general. Before I got to work this morning, just by doing things at home and by running out to Sam's Club, I walked 0.9 of a mile, almost 1 full mile. I was pretty shocked because I honestly didn't think I walked that much.
Okay. So there you go, folks. The Fitbit app.
The app itself is free. You can also count all your calories. You can log all the food that you eat. You can even use the app on your phone without having the actual Fitbit. You can just input all the information, like if you have a different pedometer or something that counts your steps. You can put that all in on your cell. Oh, my Fitbit likes me.
All right, switch to your name again.
Before it said Tricia, it said I like you, Tricia. Now, this little guy here, this is $99. It comes in this burgundy color or black. This one is rechargeable, so I've got a little cord that plugs into my computer via USB. There is a different model of it that's, I think, $59, but it runs on a watch battery, basically, so you have to replace the battery about once a month. The downside to that one is that it does not track your sleep, and I thought that was something very interesting about this version. They're also supposed to be coming out with a newer version that's in a bracelet form. I don't know if it's out yet. I don't think it is. But I wasn't very interested in that one because I didn't think I would wear it as often as I wear this one.
Which is why I don't want the bracelet one, because I don't have any. I don't want anything on my wrists if I can avoid it.
Okay, well then that makes sense.
I have made my decision. It's time to go screen share since I have that capability, but you didn't. So, the what?
No, I had to do the old-fashioned analog screen share.
Yes. Well, anyway, here we go. I'm choosing Zen Pinball by Zen Studios, which the logo looks like this on the App Store. The app itself is free. It's all in-app purchases. You get a couple of free tables, but as you see with the surrounding images here, they have a lot of tables as options, a lot of licensed tables too. So I want to say there's 5 or 6 Marvel Comics tables, and there are 3 or 4 Star Wars tables specifically. I own one of the Star Wars ones because it is about Empire Strikes Back. And in fact, I can bring this image up because this is the table that I own. If it, there we go. Oh. I found it interesting that not only, I mean, not only can you tell that there are 3-dimensional things going on here, but this like AT-AT walker in this picture here, that is a 3-dimensional, not attached to the table at all, animation actually doing something. So there are certain things you can hit, for instance, and Luke Skywalker will pop up out of the board and do handstands and swing his lightsaber around, and geez, what else happens? Oh, TIE fighters come out at one point, and you have to shoot. There's a stormtrooper that you have to hit, and I think that's kind of neat. So it makes me wonder what the other tables are like. This particular table, I think, cost me $1.99. At most, it was $2.99, but I think it was $1.99. Hang on. Ow. Okay. Anyway, all the tables. I don't think it was more than $1.99. All the tables are either 99 cents or $1.99. The bigger the property, I believe that the more expensive the table will be. But I've been playing the Star Wars Episode 5 table quite a bit, and I've been enjoying it. So I recommend it. It's fairly accurate as a pinball machine, although there are things that I miss being able to do, like actually shake the machine, which you can shake your phone to do the same basic things, but I don't know, it just doesn't have the same feel to me. So Zen Studios, Zen Pinball.
Is it an iPad app as well?
Yes. In fact, I think it automatically adapts to iPad or iPhone, and I know that I have transferred my purchases, so I only had to buy the Episode 5 table on one thing, and I get it everywhere. So
that's good.
Yeah. So I want to thank the one viewer for hanging in there. I have a theory who it is now. Possibly the same person who was there for Monday, but I won't call them out. I want to thank you for joining me, and the guinea pig there. Let's bring the guinea pig up here so that everybody can see him.
There's the guinea pig.
I want to thank Bonsai for joining us, and we will be again live between 7:30 and 8:30 next week. As you can see, we start about 8 o'clock, so just join us next week. Same bat time, same YouTube channel. Say goodbye, Trish.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.